What if I told you that the junk you're tossing in the trash right now could one day be worth more than gold? I'm not talking about high-tech gadgets or expensive survival gear. I'm talking about 9 everyday items, things so cheap you barely notice them, that could literally keep you alive when society collapses. In fact, some of them might already be sitting in your garbage can as we speak. Here's the scary truth. While everyone else rushes to panic-buy generators, freeze-dried meals, and overpriced survival kits, they're overlooking the humble, ordinary items that will turn into absolute treasures when the shelves are bare, the lights go out, and life as we know it comes to a halt. We're living in a world that's becoming more unstable by the day. Record-breaking inflation is draining wallets, supply chains are cracking, and millions of Americans are already preparing for 2025. This isn't some distant dystopian movie, it's unfolding right now, and if you're not ready, you could find yourself fighting over scraps while others thrive with things they once considered trash. So in this video I'm breaking down 9 dirt cheap household items that you should start saving today, because when SHTF they'll be worth their weight in gold. And trust me, when we get to item number 9, you're going to be shocked. It's something almost everyone throws away daily, but in a collapse it could power your tools and even become one of the most valuable barter items you'll ever own. Let's start with the first survival item hiding in plain sight, empty glass jars. Now, let me hit you with a hard truth. Those pasta sauce or pickle jars you've been tossing every week. In a crisis, they could be the difference between survival and disaster. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Glass jars are durable, airtight, reusable, and incredibly versatile. You can use them to store clean water, food, seeds, spices, medicine, or even homemade remedies. In a collapse when clean containers become rare, that jar will be worth far more than the smartphone in your pocket. Here's why this matters. Water is always the #1 survival priority. FEMA has been warning us for years that most families don't have enough water stored to last even 3 days. And while plastic bottles break down and leach chemicals, glass jars stay safe, strong and reusable for decades. History has already shown us how valuable they are. During Venezuela's collapse, people literally traded empty glass bottles for food and medicine. Glass became currency, because you can't store water in a phone, and you can't trade a tablet for bread. But a clean jar? That was survival. And here's the kicker, that salsa jar you almost tossed last night could one day hold purified rainwater, vinegar for cleaning, or even seeds for your survival garden. They're free, they're everywhere, and once things go south, they'll be priceless. So the next time you're about to throw one away, stop. Because that jar might just be the lifeline that keeps you and your family alive when the shelves are empty and the world is in chaos. Now let's move on to item number 2, something hiding in your closet right now. That old cotton t-shirt with holes and faded print? Don't toss it, because in a survival situation, that piece of fabric could literally save your life. Disaster strikes when you least expect it, and sometimes the thing that saves you isn't a high-priced gadget but something hiding in the back of your closet. Take the cotton t-shirt. Sounds too simple, right? But this is one of the most underrated survival tools you already own, and most people don't even realize it. Here's the kicker. FEMA itself recommends using a cotton t-shirt as a makeshift dust mask when proper respirators aren't available. That means your $1 thrift store tee could be worth more than a $50 respirator if the air suddenly turns toxic, smoke fills the sky, or a dust storm rolls in. That faded shirt you were about to throw away, in a collapse, it's not trash, it's survival gear. But its value goes way beyond just breathing. Cotton fabric is incredibly versatile. It can be turned into a bandage, used as a filter to strain water, layered as insulation to keep you warm, or even ripped into strips and used as rope. When hospitals are overrun and supplies are gone, that shirt might be the only barrier standing between you and infection. Think about the numbers. A 2025 prepping survey revealed that more than 60% of households already face shortages of basic first aid supplies. Yet closets everywhere are filled with stacks of old shirts, waiting to be repurposed. Smart preppers on Reddit swear by them, turning worn-out tees into rags, tourniquets, compresses, and even improvised masks when nothing else was available. And here's where it gets serious. In a world where sterile gauze is gone and clean fabric is rare, that cotton shirt could mean the difference between a wound that heals and one that turns deadly. Lightweight, easy to store, and free if you just start saving your old clothes now. Cotton is the hidden lifesaver no one thinks about. So before you toss that hole-ridden shirt in the trash, stop. Because when the shelves are empty and hospitals are out of reach, that scrap of fabric could be worth more than any piece of tech you own. In a post-collapse world, cotton isn't just clothing, It's survival. Now let's move to the next overlooked powerhouse. Something so common you've probably forgotten, it's even in your pantry. It's cheap, it's white, and it might just save your life. Baking soda. At first glance, baking soda looks like nothing more than the stuff you use to make cookies rise, or keep your fridge smelling fresh. But in a collapse, it transforms into a survival multi-tool that costs less than $1. Think about that. A single box of baking soda could outperform dozens of pricey survival products. Here's why. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, is one of the most versatile substances on the planet. It deodorizes, keeping bacteria and foul smells at bay. It's a non-toxic cleaner, meaning when store shelves are empty of chemical sprays, you can use it to scrub dishes, wash surfaces, or even clean your own body safely. But here's where it becomes life-saving. The CDC has documented that baking soda can help neutralize acidic chemical burns, whether from a leaking battery or a chemical spill. And in the chaos of a collapse, accidents like that will only be more common. And that's not all. In the event of a fire, baking soda can literally smother small flames, heat it up, and it releases carbon dioxide, cutting off oxygen to the fire. That's not a kitchen trick, that's a survival hack that could keep your home from burning down. So the next time you think baking soda is just for baking, remember this: when hygiene supplies, cleaners, and first aid kits disappear, that box of white powder becomes a triple threat survival tool: cleaner, deodorizer, and emergency first aid, all in one. And right now, it costs pocket change. So stock up while you can, because when SHTF, that little orange box won't just be hiding in the back of your pantry. It'll be worth its weight in gold. And now, let's talk about survival item number 4. It's tiny, it's sharp, and you've probably got a few rolling around in your junk drawer. But when collapse hits, safety pins could become one of the most valuable tools you own. They look harmless, ordinary, almost boring. Safety pins and paper clips, the tiny office supplies you've used 1,000 times without a second thought. But in a collapse, these little pieces of metal could save your life. Sounds crazy? Stick with me. Here's the truth. These aren't just for holding papers together or fixing a button. They're versatile, durable, and ridiculously cheap. And when everything falls apart, they instantly become survival tools in disguise. Take safety pins. Tear in your shirt? Rip in your tent? Safety pins can patch it up in seconds. No sewing kit, no problem. They can even double as fishhooks when food runs out. And trust me, plenty of survivalists on Reddit and prepper forums swear they never leave home without a handful. Because when your gear breaks and stores are closed for good, safety pins are the quick fix that keeps you going. Now let's talk about paper clips. You'd be shocked at how many survival hacks rely on them. Lock jammed? Paperclip. Gear broken? Paperclip. Need a makeshift antenna for your emergency radio? Paperclip. They're even used in trap triggers to catch small game when you're desperate for food. Preppers have shared dozens of creative ways to bend, twist, and repurpose paper clips when nothing else works. Here's the scary part. According to a Ready.gov survey, over 60% of households don't have even the most basic repair or sewing kits. That means most people will be helpless when their clothing, shelter, or tools fail. But you, with a $1 box of safety pins and paper clips, you've got a pocket-sized survival kit that weighs almost nothing but could mean everything. Think about it. Would you rather waste precious flashlight batteries to repair gear in the dark, or quietly patch it with a safety pin? The answer's obvious. And when things really go bad, those cheap little office supplies might even become barter items people fight over. So next time you're walking through the office supply aisle, don't just grab printer paper. Grab a box of safety pins and paper clips. Toss them into your survival stash. They take up no space, they cost next to nothing, and when chaos takes over, they might be the difference between staying prepared and falling apart. And speaking of things you take for granted, let's talk about survival item number 5. It's sitting in almost every bathroom drawer and pantry, and it's so ordinary you probably overlook it every single day. But in a collapse, it could be worth more than a can of food. I'm talking about bar soap, the hygiene hero you're overlooking. Here's the harsh truth. Hygiene isn't just about smelling good. According to the CDC, more than 3.5 million people die every single year from diseases that could have been prevented with basic cleanliness. Now imagine a world where plumbing stops working, water is scarce, and hospitals are overwhelmed or gone. In that world, a single cut can turn deadly if it gets infected. Soap isn't luxury anymore, it's survival. Bar soap has another advantage. It lasts. Stored properly, it can sit on a shelf for years, It doesn't need batteries, electricity, or fancy pumps. It's lightweight, portable, and ready to go whenever you need it. That's why serious preppers have been stockpiling it for years, and history proves its worth. During Venezuela's economic collapse, a single bar of soap became so valuable that people traded it on the black market for food or medicine. Think about that. Soap turned into currency. That's how critical it becomes when society crumbles. So before you shrug off that little bar sitting by your sink, remember this: in a collapse, staying clean isn't about comfort, it's about survival. Soap could be the difference between life and death. Now let's move on to survival, item number 6. It's something so simple, you've probably got a drawer full of them, but in a grid-down world, it could mean the difference between sickness and survival. When everything falls apart, survival isn't about having the fanciest gear. Sometimes it's about the simple things, like soap. That little bar sitting in your bathroom right now might look boring, but in a collapse, it could be worth more than food. And it's not just about washing your hands. Soap is a multi-purpose survival weapon. It can clean wounds, sanitize surfaces, and even wash clothes when there's no detergent around. One prepper on Reddit even called it the most overlooked barter item in the entire prepping world, and they weren't exaggerating. When hospitals are gone and clean water is scarce, washing a small cut with soap could be the difference between recovery and a deadly infection. Here's a pro tip: skip the fancy scented stuff. Stick with plain unscented bars. They last longer, store better, and can be used for everything from bathing to cleaning food containers. These no-frill bars are the real survival tools. So the next time you look at that cheap bar of soap on your sink, don't dismiss it. In the middle of a crisis, that bar could be your best defense against disease, and one of the most powerful trade items you'll ever own. Stock up while you can, because once the shelves are bare, soap will be worth its weight in gold. Now let's move on to survival item number 6. Something sitting forgotten in your garage, workshop, or maybe even your junk drawer. Cotton rope and twine. Sounds dull, right? But trust me, when disaster hits, this stuff becomes survival gold. Here's why. Rope is one of the most versatile tools you can own in a collapse. You can tie down tarps, secure tents, rig up lean toes, or build entire shelters with it. You can use it to hang food away from animals, dry clothes, craft emergency stretchers, or even create animal traps for food. In fact, in survival training, rope is considered one of the top 5 must-have tools for wilderness preparedness. And the best part? A bundle of cotton rope or twine costs less than $1 at most hardware or dollar stores. Now here's the shocking part. According to a FEMA study in 2025, more than 60% of American households don't have any rope at all. No cordage, no twine, nothing. That means most people are literally one broken tent pole away from being in serious trouble. And while paracord gets all the hype in prepper circles, cotton rope deserves more respect. It's soft, biodegradable, easy to handle, and even has a hidden bonus: you can fray it to make tinder for starting fires. That's right, the same garden twine you ignore could be the spark that saves your life on a freezing night. Smart preppers are already catching on. Some vacuum seal bundles of cotton twine to keep them dry and compact. Others braid them into belts and bracelets, so they always have cordage on hand. Genius, right? Here's the reality: once disaster hits, people won't be fighting over flashy gadgets, they'll be scrambling for the basics, things like rope. It'll be hoarded, bartered, and maybe even stolen. So ask yourself, if the grid went down tonight, do you have enough rope to secure your shelter, hang a tarp, or lock down your supplies? If not, you might be in trouble. Because in a world where survival depends on improvisation, something as cheap and overlooked as a $1 spool of twine could literally hold your world together.